the third film adaptation for Demon Slayer that's hit theaters. They recently had a movie that came out last year in theaters, last February, I think this exact same weekend. And before that, in 2020, the first Demon Slayer film hit theaters really kind of in the middle of the COVID pandemic and went absolutely ridiculous. It ended up being the highest grossing movie of that year, period. Not just in America, not just in Japan, period. It made over $500 million in a time where people were just not going to the movies. And not only that, it's the highest grossing Japanese animated movie, or excuse me, not even animated movie. It's the highest grossing Japanese movie ever. Like, forget animated. It's the highest grossing Japanese film ever in that country and worldwide. And so, huge successful franchise for them, of course, coming from the manga and the television show, but now they are, sort of transitioning into doing more theatrically released films, or at least movies that are made for theaters. And so I know you got a chance to go check this out this past weekend. So with all that out the way, I'll pass it over to you. What did you think about this brand new Demon Slayer film?
Yeah, man, Ufotable, the animation studio behind Demon Slayer, man, they are just, the way they animate is crazy. Like, if you watch an episode of Demon Slayer, it does feel like I should be watching it in the movie theater. That's how crazy it looks. I still can't believe it. Like, when every episode comes out, I'm like, y'all really did this. Like, it blows my mind. An interesting thing about Demon Slayer too is they very actively chop their shows into arcs. Like, other shows, of course, do that with seasons and stuff, but Demon Slayer is legit like, no, this is the Swordsmith arc. Like, they'll literally put arc in the name of the season or the movie. Everybody doesn't do that, right? It's just Attack on Titan season 1. It's just Attack on Titan season 2. They don't do it in arc. So it's a very interesting way to go about it. In this film in particular, Hashira Training arc is just okay, and in some ways a little disappointing. The movie you just talked about, Mugen Train, was genius because it kind of followed the formula that we've been talking about on the show for a very long time. It was like, oh, the anime has come to a certain point. Now it's time for a movie, right? Again, I still wish more movies, TV shows that we watch did this, where like they made a part of the story a huge going to the movies event. That's what made Mugen Train so big. The reason this doesn't follow the same formula. In fact, half of the movie is like the last 2 episodes of the last season. I didn't know it was going to be like that. And this movie it's like 1:50. So the first like hour in the theater, I'm over here like, everybody's looking around like, we all already seen this, right? Like, we all already watched this. And it was a very, I think, yeah, it was a frustrating experience because I expected it to be closer to that Mugen Train experience where none of this had really come out before. It's its own thing. It's a whole complete arc. This isn't that. This is like the last 2 episodes of last season and the first episode and a half of the next season. That's kind of what this is. And it's not really a complete full story, if that makes sense. And so it was disappointing in that way. I think the new stuff that I was able to see, it was fine. But also, if I had known it was this, I kind of just would have waited until the new season came out on Crunchyroll. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where I left with it. Still, it was still good to see this crazy, ridiculous animation from Ufotable on the big screen. It looks phenomenal. But story-wise, just wait until it comes out on Crunchyroll, because you're not really missing out on anything, to be honest. So I'm still excited for the arc to come. It's going to be amazing. This is the arc before the very last arc. This show is coming to an end very soon, but I'd say save your coins if you're a Demon Slayer fan.
I don't want to assume the worst of the production team and their intentions here, but does it just feel like a cash grab? Because that's an interesting change, to sort of like go in the format of showing stuff that's already premiered technically, and let's just give them a little bit of a tease of what's to come. But again, if you're already watching the television show and it's going to come out probably in a few months on Crunchyroll anyway, like I can just wait. I wouldn't want to spend the extra money necessarily just to see it on a big screen. So did it kind of feel like a cash grab moment on the part of the studio?
Yeah, for sure. Versus again, what made Mugen Train so different is it did come out in the anime later, but everything you were watching was a brand new, full, complete story. And in here was like, are we doing it again? I didn't see the movie in between there. There was a movie that you said that came out last year. It's in between Mugen Train and this one. I didn't see that one. I'm hearing maybe that one was kind of like this one, where like it was like the end of last one, beginning of the new one kind of type thing, which I think they are kind of cash grab. I think they seen what Mugen Train was, but maybe they didn't understand what it was supposed to, what made Mugen Train what it was, and now they're like having this weird release schedule and what they're doing. So maybe I hope somebody tells them and they get it together. But it's definitely feeling like a cash grab because there was a lot of fans in there, and I think we all had the same idea that this would be all new content. And man, they had buckets. I bought the bucket. I bought the bucket. So yeah, they had buckets and cups. It definitely feel like they were out to make some money because they knew they could. And they knew their fan base was loyal.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because if you do look at Mugen Train and what I talked about, how much money it made, these subsequent two have not made anywhere near the levels of money that Mugen Train has made, and I think that people are starting to become hip. Like, oh, this isn't really a completely new original story that we haven't seen before. This is kind of chopping together stuff that's already been presented with sprinkling in a little bit of new things, and so it's a little bit of money, but it's certainly not matching the heights of what they got a few years ago. So it's interesting, but that doesn't take away from the success. I mean, it still came in at number 2 at the box office, which I don't know what that says about people. Like, I don't know if people didn't know that it was going to be like a similar situation. Like if they just didn't know that it was going to be like presenting stuff that you guys have already watched, or maybe there's like a group of people out there who would rather watch like TV episodes that they've already seen as opposed to like American made movies that are coming out. That could also be a thing too, which would be
That's true.
It would kind of be the funniest thing ever. Like, oh, I would rather watch some shit that I've already seen as opposed to go see, I don't know, fucking Ordinary People or Bob Marley or something that's out.
Argyle.
Yeah, Argyle, something that's out there right now. So it'll be interesting to see like if they continue to do this in the future or if they might shift directions with any future theatrical installments. But we will have to see. But folks, those are all of our thoughts on the brand new Demon Slayer film, Hashira Training. If you check it out, hit us up and let us know what you think.